Hey guys, what's going on? Rick with Rick's Toy Room and Masters of the Universe. So this is going to be my non-spoiler review. This movie, when it comes to fan service, was as good to the Masters of the uh, universe as Mortal Kombat was for MK2 was to Mortal Kombat. Sorry, I'm trying to get my lights adjusted because it's late and it's bright. Um, okay, so first and foremost, stay for the after movie scene, the post-credit scene, and the post-credit scene. So there are three post-credits, or at least three post-movies. Um, the character designs were phenomenal, okay? All their costumes were direct from the cartoons. There were a couple characters that people were talking about or hoping for. They were trying to see in the backgrounds. There were characters in the movie that were not seen in the trailers, so definitely be there. There were a couple characters I didn't recognize, so I couldn't tell if they came from the uh, the New Adventures of He-Man or if they were part of the 2000 X series, but there were a couple characters I didn't recognize that had some pretty decent screen time. Um, Storyline wise, you don't see Adam in Earth that much. I was really worried we're going to get this way too much like off scene, off world, just crap storyline that we didn't need. Um, you don't, the movie opens in Eternia, does a stint on Earth, comes back to Eternia, stays in Eternia, and then they have a couple other like kind of wrap up, and then you get to the end. Um, Again, character wise, they did all the characters really well for the most part. Um, all their designs, their costumes, phenomenal. Um, they did a great job of. There's some. I don't really want to say Easter eggs, but again, fan service. So they describe Mechanic, and Mechanic actually on the cardboard, so on the card of the original action figure, Mechanic was described as the human periscope. And that is called out. It is a line in the movie, and beautiful. It was great. Um, I seem to be the only like super fan in the whole theater because like there was a scene the first time He-Man lifts the sword, I clapped, no one else clapped. There were certain characters and certain things that happen on screen that I'm like, holy shit, that's from yada, like right. And they like not a lot of other people like really like cheered or did anything for it. There wasn't as much humor as you would have thought, so they kind of did stick away from the Guardians of the Galaxy, like let's be jokey world. The movie was a lot more violent. Um, they said the word ass like multiple times. They almost said fuck once. They like He-Man kills people. Like this movie was violent. Um, there are a couple characters that are going to die. You're not going to be happy with it. The biggest disservice I think the movie did. Um, Skeletor was kind of shitty. First off, the red eyes, fucking annoying. Like he didn't need them. I don't know why they gave it to him. He shouldn't have had them. His voice, and if you've been on social media with this movie, you know that they've purposely kept Skeletor out of any of the teasers and the trailers. They didn't want people to get turned off by his voice and then not see the movie. And it's 100% disservice to Skeletor. His voice is very deep. He's very menacing. It's not that high pitched, like not scary Skeletor. Um, you do get the Skeletor. You get Skeletor to laugh on a couple scenes, but because his voice isn't that ha 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 ha, it didn't seem like Skeletor. Skeletor was very berating to his minions, which we see in the cartoon a lot. Um, Skeletor did call them a bunch of really weird, dumb, goofy kind of kid, like you bonehead, nincompoop type. He does do a lot of that in the movie. Um, the sorceress does turn into Sor, so that's awesome. The vehicles are, if you pay attention, they are homage to the Mattel toys and the cartoon. We get the Talon Fighter. We get the Rodar, the Roton. Skeletor's like flying fortress, like the two big eyes and the little arms. We get that. The robots from the cartoon, the ones that were like the floating droids with like the dome head, the black and the yellow eyes, the two little robot arms, that's in the movie. There is a scene that you're going to see one. It's going to get its fucking guts punched out, and you're going to be like, holy shit, they put those. He-Man's fighting was very much like the cartoon. Like, he grabs a lot of people, spins them around, and tosses them. A lot of sword fights, a lot of deflecting with his bracelets. Yeah, I mean, with this being my non-spoiler version, and being that this was the early release and a lot of people aren't going to see it until tomorrow, Friday, there's a lot of things I'm not going to say. But the movie did a phenomenal job of the characters' developments. Like I said, there's a Skeletor minion, like I said, I can't place. There was, I would say, 3 of the heroes that you don't see in the trailer that show up in the movie. Some of the characters, like I said, will die. I'll leave it at that. I thought Evil-Lyn's portrayal was actually really well done, though. Again, her voice, they gave her more of the high-pitched and kind of like the dumbed down version of the character. Like, she played a lot, kind of like a ditzy, like bow down to Skeletor a lot. Skeletor is a lot more physical with his minions. Like, you never saw him physically put his hands on Evil-Lyn in the cartoon, and he fights with Evil-Lyn. Beastman was really well done. Dude, again, I think they did a great job of most of the storylines. They really could have cut out the whole Earthbound bullshit. They didn't need it. They could have the way they opened the movie with the history of He-Man in Eternia and Skeletor and Man-at-Arms and King Randor, like, they set the story up perfectly fine in the opening without having to be on Earth, without having to send He-Man away. I feel they did a disservice to the Sword of Power. You'll understand that when you see the movie. They kind of changed the story of the sword a little bit. I'm pretty sure in the trailer we see Cringer, so I'll let that out. Cringer did not get a big enough role, in my opinion. I think they did him an okay service. I think they could have, if they'd have given him a little bit more screen time, they could have fleshed Cringer out a little bit better. For what it was, they treated him right. Like I said, there were a lot of vehicles that were straight out of the toy line. There were a lot of quotes that were straight out of the cartoon and the toy line. If you listen to the music, you'll hear different tones and different of the background music of the movie or of the cartoon. I'm a little disappointed. So the original 80s cartoon, they didn't really call the other characters the Masters. And it wasn't until the 2000 X series that Fisto and, all the other Buzz Off, all the other characters that were in the cartoon were considered the Masters, right? So it was like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. They had an area where they played some music, and the music that they played, I get why they chose it, but it didn't. Could have done without it. And there's one song that I'm like, I wish it was not in the movie. Like, I don't know why. I don't care why it's here. stupid. Um, there is like 2 plot points that were just kind of like, again, we could have cut them out of the movie and it would not have changed this movie at all. So, yeah, go see it. If you are a fan of the original 80s cartoon, Masters of the Universe. Oh, and there's a cameo in this movie, and there is a dialogue that I almost pissed my pants because I was so excited to see it, so happy that it was there. I was impressed. Okay, I'm going to say that. There's a cameo that impressed me, and I'm so glad it was there. I loved it. You could tell that a lot of the people in the movie I don't think were as big of fans. And I didn't realize how much I remember and how much I loved the cartoon as a kid. Like, this was by far, He-Man was by far my favorite cartoon as a kid, hands down. And then as I got older, it became G.I. Joe, Centurions. But He-Man has always been my cartoon. I mean, you ask my mom, she'll tell you stories about me running around screaming, I have the power. Like, He-Man was my cartoon, and I honestly just, until I watched this movie and I could see all the old things and all the toys, because I played the He-Man toys were my favorite toys. Like, I still have my original 80s He-Man. I do. They're loose and played with, obviously, but like, I had those toys. I played with those toys, and seeing the stuff in the movie, I was like, holy, that's that. And that, and Dusty was sitting there like, shut the fuck up. And the fucking whale next to me, another video. But as a non-spoiler, there are some characters you're going to see that you're like, holy hell, this is awesome. The post credits are going to make you go insane. The cameo was phenomenal. And the homage to the characters, again, costume designs 100% taken from the cartoons. Like, every one of the characters were designed like the character. Every one of the characters had their moves just like the cartoons. Like, it was great. It was great. If you are a fan of Masters of the Universe, if you know these characters and know the lore, the movie did it justice. It did it right. Except for Skeletor. They fucked Skeletor up. I don't care. Skeletor was the worst part of the whole movie. But honestly, everything else in the movie, you could almost ignore it. You really didn't need Skeletor, to be honest. You really didn't. So go see it. Again, they did take a couple liberties with the origin stories on a couple of the characters, so you're like, whatever. But all the characters played their part the way they were in the cartoon, and it was, again, like Mortal Kombat, a love story to the Masters of the Universe fans of the universe. And that's all I got to say. Go see the movie. I will do another video tomorrow. It's late. I don't want to stay up all night. I will do a spoiler video tomorrow. And I will tell you all the things that you should have seen or that you probably caught, maybe didn't catch, should go watch for. So you'll get that. But go see Masters of the Universe. Don't worry about He-Man being on Earth. It was such a small bit of the movie. You'll forget that it happened. And just ignore Skeletor. Ignore his voice. Just think he's not talking and try to block out the red beady eyes because those were stupid. But the movie, everything else about the movie was phenomenal. Again, people are going to get killed. It is going to be violent. It's going to swear. This is Masters of the Universe for the 40-plus year olds that grew up on Masters of the Universe. And this is the Masters of the Universe we deserve. So go see it.